now. Hello, everyone. So I have a couple viewers. I'm not seeing any chatters yet, but hello, hello. We're just getting the last few things set up now. Oop, there we go. I did pull you a chair. You can... Oh, there's Moth. Hi, Moth. I figured you would be here pretty quickly. See if we can get this both of us on camera.
And I'm like either hiding down low or
Wait,
I'm too
there we
tall
go.
if I'm
I always
standing.
turn the opposite direction I need to with this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's Favorian, my wife. She exists still. You can't control her here. She won't be joining us for long, probably.
Yeah, I'm tired.
She's had a long day. And we'll probably just switch over to Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe to kill time after, depending however long you can.
I also imagine that I'm not going to be able to do much with this game, so.
Oh, yeah. Hello! Oh, Yuki too! Hi, Yuki! Okay. Can you hear us okay, by the way? I see waving and my mic says it's working, but I don't trust anything anymore. Why is this paused? Okay. I should see off. Yep, yes, okay. You asked me to click Cuphead to start it, right? I'm not going crazy.
I don't know.
There it is. Okay. Oop. Oh, stream avatars. But that should just kick up on its own. If it wants to. Game's supposedly launching.
Just thinking about it.
Thinking about it.
For sure.
I mean, well, this is something, but it's not capturing it yet. How long does it usually take for a sprained limb to heal? Like, let's say a toe. I've never sprained a toe before, but presumably not that long in my experience. Turn my volume down. Talking. There it goes. Anyway, how long would you say a sprained limb takes to heal? You have no idea?
I think that depends on the intro.
You get a little shy. You tired?
I'm tired.
You're tired.
I'm tired. Sorry.
Okay.
If you did this at like 6 a.m., it'd be a different story.
Yeah, you're a morning person.
Yeah.
Okay. In my experience with a sprained injury, it usually heals within probably a week or two. I would genuinely say if you're experiencing pain in an area that is interfering with your life in any way, it's worth consulting a doctor, especially if it's been about a week or so, because they're gonna know better. And if you have decent insurance coverage. It's been like a week and a half, and my toe still hurts. I mean, I expect my back to still hurt, but you'd think my toe would be fine by now. Toes can be tricky. They got a lot of nerves, surprisingly. Okay, you just need to hit any button on yours, and it should pop up. I was playing around with it earlier.
I have. Okay.
We'll see what happens when we get to the opening cutscene. So yeah, she's tired and might not stick around too long. You would probably say side scrolls and platformers are not what you're good at.
Not at all.
I'm terrible at side scrollers and platformers.
This is gonna be a hot wreck pretty quick, but I love the.
Once upon a time, in a magical place called Inkwell Isle, there were two brothers named Cuphead and Mugman. They lived without a care under the watchful eyes of wise Elder Kettle. One day, the two boys wandered far from home, and despite the Elder Kettle's many warnings, ended up on the wrong side of tracks and entered the Devil's Casino. The game is louder than y'all. I can accept. This is why we have volume things. Don't you like how whenever I click over to OBS, is that better? Yeah. Also, I tried to break my spine about a week ago. Ooh, back injuries suck. I had that when I got hit by the car. I was out for a bit.
Yeah, you like re-dislocated the.
Yeah, dislocated the lower, or almost slipped a disc.
Almost, yeah. You were like trying not to.
Is that better on the game volume versus us?
Probably if we're also closer to.
Yeah, I can move my mic. I can get in really close for ASMR experience. I don't know how to do ASMR. Crinkle crinkle. I got my pinky toe, am I right? I'm sorry to hear that, Yuki.
How?
Yeah. That sounds like quite the fall. Inside, Cuphead and Mugman soon found themselves on a winning streak at the craps table. Hot dog! Exclaimed King Dice, the casino's sleazy manager. These fellas can't lose. Nice run, boys, laughed a newcomer. The brothers gasped. It was the casino owner, the devil himself. Now how about we raise the stakes, he suggested with a toothy grin. With one more roll and all the loot in my casino is yours, the devil boomed. But if you lose, I have your souls. This is like peak Fleischer storyline, like half of
I
their...
know. I love the Fleischer inspiration.
Cuphead, blinded by easy riches, nodded and grabbed the dice for a throw. Good gosh, Cuphead, no! Cried Mugman, for he understood the danger, but it was too late. I like how Mugman's just stuck along for the ride.
Yeah. That's the point of being a player, too.
Yeah. Snake Eyes, laughed the devil while slamming the floor. You lose. The brothers trembled in fear as he loomed over them. Now about those souls. Game is pretty quiet now. Oh, okay. I flipped it. We'll get there eventually. The brothers pleaded for their very lives. There must be another way to repay you, Mugman stammered. Yes, but please, mister, Cuphead added. Perhaps there is, the devil snickered, pulling out a parchment. Have here list my runaways' debtors. Collect their souls from me, and I just might pardon you two mugs. Now get going, the devil roared, kicking the boys out most rudely. You have till midnight tomorrow to collect every one of those souls. Otherwise, I'll be the one collecting yours. Cuphead and Mugman were terribly frightened and ran away as fast as they could. Come on, Mug, panted Cuphead. We have to find Elder Kettle. He'll know what to do. There's a little intro thing. I prefer when they have dialogue and I don't have to read them all. That's okay. Honestly, I broke my spine for a second with the crunching noise, but then I had a huge black bruise around my spine, and it's mostly gone. It's weird, child. I can barely hear the music. Well, let's crank it up again. Back to about there.
Yeah.
Oop, not that one. Okay, trying that one. I'm sorry to hear that, Yuki. That sounds like quite the fall. What a fine boys! Oh, there you go.
There we go. Because
Yay!
you didn't join in earlier.
What a fine pickle you boys have gotten yourselves into. I know you don't want to be pawns of the devil, but if you refuse, I can't bear to imagine your fates. You must now play along for now. Collect those contracts, and you'd be best ready for some nasty business. Your debtor friends won't be very friendly once you've confronted them. In fact, I took the transform into terrible beasts. Take this potion so they won't hang you out to dry. Okay, I appreciate the just... It will give you the most remarkable magical abilities. Now go to my writing desk and use the mystical inkwell there. You need to prepare yourselves for a scrap. Now, Yuki, I do recommend going to the doctor when it's needed, if you can. I understand you always can't, but... Okay, so you got squats.
Yeah, squat
You got
and then
point up, which I'm assuming is like a shoot.
Yeah, because I think
A's
you have
jump.
like the pointer thing missing. I don't...
Oh, X is shoot.
X.
Whee! Take this, Elder Kettle.
Okay.
Whoop.
I don't know what we did.
We're going into the tutorial, I
I
believe.
think so.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta hit buttons to get there.
Yeah.
Your grandpa probably would have loved this game. My grandpa also would have. Grandpa Norman.
Oh my
he would have
gosh,
loved
yeah.
this kind of game. Sally probably would. She wouldn't get it,
No, not at all. Okay.
but she'd be. That's my grandma, Sally. Several thousand.
How do I jump and dash?
Okay, so you gotta press A and then jump. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you got it.
Gosh.
Down A.
Ugh.
X.
It's not
hold
gonna
for
go
rapid
well.
fire.
And then RB.
Hold to stay in place. Oh, it's the right bumper, the little
Right
one.
bumper. Okay.
Bumpers and triggers. Triggers are the big one. So
Okay, while I'm shooting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, my best advice with the doctor there. I hit the target, I think. So you can use right bumper to stay, and then it's easier to aim. And my best advice with the doctor is, if you can avoid it, especially for cost, I understand. But if you can, it's worth going. Press jump while airborne. Okay. to build your super meter. Wait, what's this to do? Okay, so it's the same way in the parameter is how you revive someone.
What?
So if you die, they're a ghost. The parry thing over here,
What do I do?
where you press A on the pink thing,
Oh, okay.
you do it on the heart.
Ah, come on.
There you go. You gotta use the thing.
I'm trying.
There we go.
Okay.
You got it. Yep.
Okay. That's not gonna go well.
An upgraded attack that requires 1 super meter. Oh! So you have these little cards at the bottom.
Okay.
Yours is probably hidden behind the unicorn on my drink.
No, I can see it.
Back at this is the toe sword. Epsom salt soak. That's a great thing for foot injury.
Yeah.
Epsom salt soak. If you can handle it, put a little bit of ice in there. Do a cold bath to reduce swelling. That's what I used to always do for sports stuff. Okay, think we're ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, we're as ready as we're gonna get.
I'm gonna leave you in the dust.
You're gonna leave me in the dust. You're like, I'm off. I've been given freedom. I do want to put you in Dark Souls someday, and be your guide. Well, I used to. Oh, running, jump, you skip fast. But hey, let me give you a hand. Take this. You're good.
I'm used to like blowing through this certain dialogue.
Yeah, I think it is. There you go, Yuki. I'm glad you're taking care of it.
Okay.
Receive 3 gold coins. Yeah.
Sorry, Stan.
You're good. Half the time it's like my consistency with dialogue is, do I remember to read the dialogue?
Something in the garden patch, if I remember.
The root pack, Botanic Panic.
Yeah, let's do simple.
Okay, it's like the first level, I assume.
I don't know.
This feels like levels. I feel like we're doing like some variation of like that Mario Party. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wanna dodge the things he's throwing while continuing shooting him.
Yeah, that didn't go well for me.
Oh, I did not get you quick enough.
Okay.
We died! Woo! Perfect. Butter Smash and Mash is over for you. We'll retry. This is gonna be most of the game.
Most of it. Oh yeah.
So you can just hold X to shoot, and then press A to jump over the.
A to jump.
And I usually find like do what you need to, but sometimes giving yourself a little bit more space. I can't reach you.
Okay.
I can get a couple of super shots out. This is timing. I got rhythm game stuff.
Yeah.
This is where I'm good. Oh, and I got carrot.
Wait.
And I died. Okay.
Okay.
We got farther.
Oh, he's halfway. Okay.
He's halfway.
He's halfway. So
mean carotene machine.
Okay. All right. Which one's jump?
A.
Okay.
Bottom button. Is that your controller?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh. Disconnected.
I did not like what you were doing.
No, it didn't.
The controller's... It angered the controller.
Yeah, we did. It's on.
Are you back?
I was, and now I'm dead.
Okay. Let's see what was going.
I don't think you're gonna make it.
I got 1 HP left. Put a couple big old shots right into Carrot's keister.
This is how most of these fights are gonna go.
Probably. Oh, you can shoot the carrots. Or run into them. Just run smack into them also works.
Oh, look, you're like almost. Okay.
Yeah, we're not doing too bad. It's not too long of a fight. I think we can actually figure this out.
Okay.
As I try to I'm gonna adjust the camera right mid-fight. That's a great idea.
Like 3 hits and you're out.
You're back. I actually caught you that time. Hey, you're alive to the carrot part.
Cool. Let's see how long this lasts.
I'm gonna just slam all of my supers into him with B. If you can, like, shoot little carrots... Oh, we gotta watch out for that. Oh, I'm dead.
How do I... Oh, okay.
You're good. You don't have long, that's what I found out. If you do B, you can hit him with a couple... Like, you have one super shot. But you gotta, like, aim it well. That's okay. You outlived me, though.
Alright, we're
getting there. You're
Three
picking it up.
quarters. We're getting about 3/4.
He's got a third eye. He's a carrot with eyes.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be more fitting for the potato to have multiple eyes.
Yeah, I agree.
Pun-wise. Oop.
I think I need to be like further away so I can get more.
That's usually what I like to do. Just have like a little bit of warning.
Get me.
Gotcha. I'm dead. Yeah!
Sweet.
You got me. Okay, I'm gonna just lay a bunch of these into him. Watch out for the... Oh! Oh! Almost. You were just like, just far enough away I couldn't quite get you. I don't know how to dodge that one.
Yeah, that one's hard.
That one's a tricky one. Okay. This is just gonna be, this is like just Dark Souls theory. Just throw yourself at a boss enough until you figure it out well.
Okay.
And then manage to do it.
Missed that one.
You're doing good. You can also press and hold X. Just to do rapid fire. If that's easier for you. And down. There we go.
Didn't last
Okay,
this
how are we
long.
getting?
At least
Oh,
we're getting
yeah,
close.
we're getting really
Okay.
close. Yeah, we'll probably get this within another
Yeah.
fight or two. This game's kind of designed, it seems to be like, it's a very fast-paced fight where you can just repeat over and over again. So you, like, get the full rhythm down. Also, the Acme grow.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. He's down.
Going straight for the thing.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, we got it right at the same time. Okay.
Whew.
Hello, Wen-Fri. It's Ben. Howdy's, babes. What the flip is up? We're streaming. That is what is up.
We're really struggling at this one.
Yeah. First fight, we're doing great.
Oh my god.
We're both very, very skilled. We are the world's best side scroll shoot 'em ups of all time.
Not like that game.
Oh no! Okay. I didn't think I was gonna get you there for a second. We had like one where we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, but I can't get back into that rhythm.
Wen-Fri's throwing us off.
I definitely do better with the games where it's like not like a specific like I don't know. I like to tank and not. I like to be able to take.
Yeah, you
my
like
hits.
you like you're like a.
I like to take my hits.
honestly, you kind of distracted him from... So the trick, I think, with that one is you got to just let him shoot first. And then you can kind of run away to dodge.
Ooh!
I think we got it.
I didn't think we were gonna make it.
I think we got it. One boss down.
How they're like crying.
Yeah! How'd he do?
Yeah, I don't want to see the deaths.
Beat him in a minute 15. HP bonus 1 of 3. Pari 3 of 3. Super meter 6 of 6. A B! That's a passing grade!
Goodness.
I'll take a B.
Oh.
This is neither of our kind of game, so for a B, it's not too bad. Yeah!
Is there
Okay,
anything
so
back behind?
remember, only regular battle will let you collect the debtor's soul. Now scram. Oh, so that was simple. So we didn't get the soul.
Oh goodness.
There's a shop. Pork Rinds Emporium.
Yeah, it's always pork rinds, I think.
It's always pork rinds, probably.
Yeah.
It's got a look to them. Okay. So what did these do? It looks like, okay, yeah, you have your own store.
Oh, that's really clever.
Long range, below average damage. I'm assuming the likely means your attack power. So like that's probably a better spell. Short range, and these are probably EX. I'm assuming EX is your special, your B.
I don't have the brain power, just too late in the day.
Extra hearts, but weakens your attack. Invisible dash. I don't know. Oh, but okay. Probably for you, the dash, the Y dash, being in you will not take damage during a dash. Great defense maneuver is probably decent for you.
Okay. Enjoy.
I am going to try the chaser to see what that is. I think that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Okay, B. We hit B when you're ready to go. Okay. It's actually a really great way to set up a shop for multiplayer.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Gotta choose your equip Disney purchases if you want to use them. Look at your equip card, bums. Okay, so why is the equip menu? Okay, so I've unlocked it.
What do I do?
Okay. I'm assuming it's under charm? Maybe. No. Maybe it's just auto-equipped for you.
Because depending on the...
Because it's just a passive?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. So now I have a shot A and a shot B. I don't know what that means.
Cool.
We will figure it out. Hit back when you're ready.
I have...
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
There's a target
What's
here.
this way?
So we can't go up this way. This... Run and gun. Wanna try it?
Or do we want to go get the garden? Oops.
Oh, we're doing this
I hit
one.
it, so...
Yay! I
wish,
mean, it's all
wish
experience.
Nintendo didn't have to switch the A and the B.
Oh, that's been like the longest complaint people have for like switching over to Nintendo ever. Like, it's a great system, but the A and B flip throws so many people off when you play both.
Yeah.
Oh, I can switch my weapon, but with left bumper. So I now have this guy instead too. We have to. Oh, we walk. Oh. Okay, mine's tracking. Ever so slightly. I don't know if they do. It probably does less damage, but tracks is probably what my thing is. Assuming I'm doing. You have to give him like space.
Oops.
Gotcha. Oh, I'm dead.
No way. Ah.
You got this. You got it. I believe in you. Look up the coin at least. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
Do you want to go
what'd
back
you
to
hit?
the carrot?
I think you just hit A to... Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Guess we're trying again.
You were still in spam button mode, so...
Sorry.
we're-
You know how I play.
I do like the tracking on this guy. I feel like it's gonna be like probably
feel
like
like it's
less
one of the-
useful for a boss.
Yeah, I feel like I have to play like so much on games before I can get to the point of oh my gosh.
Competence.
Yes, and I can't process anything this late.
And this is very late for you. For context, my wife's normal bedtime is like
Not
8 or 9.
Yeah, I get up at 5.
But she gets up really early. Living that teacher life. Anyway, I think I asked, how you doing, Wee Fei? Came in at a good time. Long time no chat, as much as we probably should. Oh, I got my boom boom. Oh, it changes.
That's cool.
Do I have a shield? I don't know what this is.
Cool.
Are you gone?
Yeah, I'm out. Go for it.
Okay.
Get the coin.
I got the coin.
Spam
That's
it
what
till we get
matters.
the coin.
I don't know if... I think it's just like... Oh, that's a great way
Almost
to
got
do
the
it.
coin.
Almost got it. I was like halfway through.
Okay, okay.
You want to do this or you want to go try the other thing?
Let's get this done.
Okay.
This isn't bad.
I do think you would prefer this weapon, so if we do get some coins to go to the store, I would recommend you buy this. I'm basically just cheating and not really having to worry about anything, just holding it down. They're at least, like, relatively... This guy right here is the bane of my existence. Gotcha.
Keep like flipping and like swapping who's who.
Oh! It's trying to save you. Oh, I hit retry again. I did it this time.
Okay, what is it?
Yeah. Apparently they can both hit us at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like I waste my taking my hits on the really lame things.
That's kind of like part of learning.
Yeah.
It's like when you're first playing like Dark Souls, it's about like... Oh, I'm gone.
Didn't make him stronger either.
It's okay. One more time?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Here goes.
Ooh, you already been going for 30 minutes.
I know, I'm not really good thing for mine.
That's okay. We only have one load of laundry left to do for tomorrow, so we're doing pretty good. Oh. Wee Fei is flippin' swell. He ate a concerning amount of hot dogs last month, but seems to be suffering no ill effect. I was reading from Wee Fei.
5 hot dogs? That's...
Yeah, some no ill effects, but we had a good chat. It's been a while since we've had a good chat, but that's just how it rolls with us. We still got plenty of soup can friendship. Pop it open after 6 months, it's still fresh. Absolutely.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the neurodivergent friendship way.
Oh,
I still
yeah.
need to play. We still need to play Baldur's Gate 3.
But you
together.
haven't played it.
We very briefly, long enough to take all of our clothes around and run around naked on the Nautilus.
Oh,
about
it.
as far as we got.
But that has to be on the bucket list first.
Yeah. I want the coin. Okay. Gotta focus. Okay.
Ooh, like killer acorn.
Killer acorn. So you can parry off of the pink spiky balls, and it gets rid of
That's
them.
how you get high. Higher.
Higher until you get high. There's lots of ways to get high.
No, not. I cannot. I'm too tired.
Coming from the two people who do not in any way have any experience with that. We do listen to a lot of songs that do involve. I mean, there's a lot of good jazz songs that are about getting high. That's about as far as my experience with that goes.
I think people on mushroom sticks like sneak out.
Yeah, the sneaky booms. I got it! Okay. No! Yes!
I should have counted.
Oh. Give me a chance to show off there a little bit with the double. Yeah, I definitely do less damage. It's like the little guys is not too bad. It's much more noticeable on the
bigger ones.
Got it. Get me!
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, it's fine.
I won't last long without you. It's fine.
It's fine. Oh. We're doing good. I think if we can get the coins from here, we can go get a couple more upgrades. Now that
I know, I'm
how
like,
they work.
you just have to really kill it.
I'm also going to probably change this to be my main weapon, so I don't have to switch it to the beginning. Because I like this one better. I can usually stand back and, like, I can... Even though it does less damage, the tracking is nice, if that makes sense. He pops up angrily after a second. I found that there's two ways to parry. One, very carefully time it, or two, spam it fanatically while you jump. And I will not... Both of them seem to be completely valid working methods.
Watch that.
I don't think there's a way to get that little water droplet guy. But he annoys me. Oh, 2 for 1!
Yeah. How many coins do we... Like, do we keep
I
them?
don't think we keep them. I'm assuming because the coin is there every time, that it's probably you have to collect them on the run.
Yeah.
So at least it's the feeling that I get. Watch out for that.
Yeah, I didn't do that,
I feel like that one shouldn't have counted as a hit against you.
but...
I
Yeah.
think you got cheated though. Check the water droplet. Mr. Puddles. I'm gonna call him Mr. Piddles because it sounds more derogatory.
Oh my...
Oh, I'm good. Yeah.
I couldn't get to you in
Yeah.
time.
That was my own fault. I was like, I wanted
I'm-
to parry. You
I'm
done?
tapping out. I'm
You tapping out?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining. We got about 30 minutes of this. We're gonna swap over to a different game.
I'm gonna let you put the chair back.
Yeah. What? Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna quickly switch over to my headset where I am shut off dead from the world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my AirPods. They're not AirPods. My what are these? JLab cheapy wireless earbuds that work really, really well. Okay. Give me 1 second to switch headsets. And then yeah. I think I'm gonna broach Cuphead again. There's words here. I know English, I swear. Maybe I'll try to do an earlier stream with Vivorian. That's what I was gonna say. Okay. Switch this over audio-wise. Oh, this is so much. Sound quality from my little headsets to this is a significant difference in choice. Are you still hanging around, Moth? While I get this all switched over. I'm sure it's going to be cheaper to do this. Always. Perfect. Thank you. It doesn't actually matter because I just realized I can type it in anyway. But I'm just switching over game and everything. Let's see. The Stanley Parable Deluxe Part 2. Killing Time. Part at. That's what we're calling this one. Why? I don't know. I'll figure out a better title later for the VOD. This is just to make it so no one's confused. Okay. That should have updated it. I'm going to just double check. Perfect. Updated it on that end. Now everyone can be really confused when they see Cuphead on my screen for a few seconds. And we'll do that. That, I just realized, get that to save real quick, because it might not have, because I think I accidentally caused it to crash. We will hope that there is some kind of autosave function. If not, it will make the next Cuphead stream a little bit interesting. Anyway. Oh no, I'll be using this. I don't know why I'm trying to shut him down. You can go back over here. Anyway, how y'all doing? How y'all doing tonight? I know Yuki was in here earlier. Thoughts and... That sounds so constant. Hopefully her toe gets feeling better. But for the rest of you... Wen-Fri apparently ate too many hot dogs, but... Or concerning amount, seems to be suffering no ill effect. Sleepy is sleepy but good. Which is as to be expected. I will have you know that every single time that I ask how you're doing and you say sleepy, I get just a little bitty drop of dopamine. It's just like, boop. There you go. Smile. Because the sleepy moth is sleepy. I don't know why. It's just like a little one. It's like a little boop. Okay. Stanley Parable 2 is launching. XBAS, why are you running? Okay. You shouldn't be open. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Okay. The rest of you are supposed to be open. We're fine. It was 100... Wait. Okay, no. Hang on. I ate a concerning amount of hot dogs, and 155 hot dogs are two different numbers. Concerning's like if we're talking a hot dog a day for a month, concerning's like over 90. It's like 3 hot dogs a day. 155 is 5 dogs a day. Yeah. You've exceeded concerning. Did you just have 5 hot dogs every meal? Did not eat dog. Did you go to a hot dog competition? That's the only other way that I see that this works out. In a way that I'm not concerned I need to drive down to y'all. That's a relief question mark. On the 31st, I ate 24. Oh. Please enter the current time. Okay. We did this last time. Why are you having me do this again? Hang on. Can I just say something? Actually setting the clock both times you booted up the game. Okay. You got me. Yeah. Don't take the step seriously. They just leave the clock set at 12 and call it a day. But you actually take the time to set the clock, and I appreciate. You asked me to set the clock. I'm gonna set the clock. I turned my volume up too loud on my headset. Okay. That's how I know that you care about this experience. You're paying attention. I don't even have any way of knowing if the times you're setting are correct. Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. You've been stuck for next time you boot up the game and see the screen, just set the clock to your favorite time. Go ahead, pick whatever time you want. Even if it's not the correct time, you've earned it. Alright, let you get back to the video game for now. I love this so much. It was to win a silly D&D competition. The challenge was to just 1 HP per hot dog for our characters, or 25 for a feat. Me and one other fellow took it a bit far. That is certainly a way to convince people to eat their hot dogs and support the big hot dog industry. Okay. So a brief recap for people who aren't familiar with the Stanley Parable 2 from yesterday's stream. TLDR, we went on an adventure, we found the adventure line, we found the new content. It was kind of bad. Had an existential crisis, found the new content, which was pretty great. It gave us the bucket, which we named Jim. We took the bucket Jim to the broom closet, and that is where we had to wrap up the stream. We will continue from there. There's my summary. We missed the hole. The hole was glorious. But here's the thing. I've got to keep this in mind. He said, taking all of the elements from the Stanley Parable 2 and putting them in the original Stanley Parable.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Which means there's a chance our hole is out there and we just have to find it.
Big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished.
Oh, apparently I skipped the audio trying to turn it up. I turned it up. You see the cat. And we got an achievement. Welcome back, booting the game for a second time. I turned the audio up a little bit. Is that better? That mean I can adjust it up and down as we go. Cat. One of the things I wish that Twitch mods had the ability to do was to adjust audio, but I don't think that's actually feasible because you don't have access to my actual OBS system. It'd be cool if you did, though. Anyway, now the real question is, Wee-Fei, is what was your HP to feet breakdown? Okay. That'd be too much power. That's fair.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
We need to check, yep.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Perfect. Property of Stanley, the bucket with the bucket sticker. That's all we needed. Okay. So, here's
Stanley
where
clutched
things
the bucket
really
tightly
begin.
to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Do we follow the narrator, or do we not? Still figuring it out. I have a feat wish list, but I could also be a level 4 character with nearly 200 HP. That is a very tempting choice. 1 second, my glasses are caught. There we go. 200 HP for level 4. Not bad. Depends on the feat that you're going to go for, because there are some decent ones. I mean, most of my D&D feat knowledge has been, like, supplanted by Baldur's Gate 3. But there's some solid choices there. I think the narrator gave us the bucket, so we will listen to him this time. We can also see the broom closet this way.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
No stickers. Alas. Alas, poor Yorick. Also, because Streamlabs is terrible at telling me, just be aware, the ad breaks that are going to happen now are going to happen very close and consistently to the hour mark. I'm going to be trying to be really good about starting my streams at about 10. So as it gets close to, 11 and 12 and 1 and 2, you'll know that that's about when the ad break is going to be coming in. Because it doesn't want to notify me anymore. That's kind of what I'm going with.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Up to the boss's office we go, Finley. Oh yeah, very solid choice. I'm playing a kind of weird West cowboy who hunts demons. So, I gotta get that mounted combatant feat for horsepower. Absolutely. Having recently uncovered a love for glaives and, like, polearms in general, pole master feat. Not the best feat in the world. Oh. We found it. We found the collectible.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
I was to say, the polearm master feat, I personally, I've heard a lot of people that don't think it works properly, but it seems to be working properly for me. It triggers an attack of opportunity when someone comes into your range. And if you have a really good, like in Baldur's Gate especially, where they hand out magic weapons like candy, like you get a good glaive or a polearm or a halberd of some kind, and you're playing like a bit of a tanky character, whether it's like a barbarian, great weapon fighting polearm master, getting that free hit as they have to, like, for them to get close enough to you, just really lets you kind of just run in there and just get a good little bit of area crowd control and just kind of shut things down. Especially if you get the sentry feat as well. Okay. I like how I can go to the bathroom. I probably could have left from having gone to the bathroom. I'm curious. They've locked the elevator this time, though. So, it's probably going to pull it up in a way that I don't want to. We're going to see. Yep, it is. Boop. There's an achievement. It used to not cast this screen, so I don't know if there's anything vital here. But there's an achievement that I want to check. 430. Click on door 435 times. Yeah, absolutely. Great as a fighter. I actually really like it as a barbarian, because you can do a lot with the strength build on a barbarian with the halberd, and having a barbarian with that extra reach, it's, I think, well worth the
Stepping into his manager's office,
potential
Stanley
damage
was once again
sacrifice.
stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2845.
No, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait him out. We're gonna wait him out with the bucket and see if he opens it anyway.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless,
It just goes
since
back
he
to
could
the...
never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Okay, we'll do it.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
The
Was
bucket
guiding him?
guides.
Yes.
Praise
this is
bucket.
certainly the most logical explanation.
Jim the bucket.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines?
I do appreciate
I think I like
Stanlerines.
that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
I like Stanlerine too. Oh, we gotta double check. Did we put bumpacity up? Okay, bumpscosity needs to be up to 1,000. There we go. How much do you want to bet that they've done? I could absolutely see him doing 5 figurines total, and there not being a 6th. Because that seems like something that they would do. But granted, I do have two of them already. By the way, Moth, is the game audio at a little bit of a better point now?
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate.
Okay.
It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
And I also want to say real quick, on the topic of my streaming schedule for next week, I haven't quite narrowed anything down yet, so if there are any game requests,
Stanley and the
please let me
bucket
know.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
My biggest one is that I will say, probably Sunday night, and I plan to get this figured out tomorrow so that I can have like the schedule posted ahead for the week, but probably Sunday night stream is going to be a clean start of Dark Souls 1. I love that game so much. I think a clean start of it again feels, now that I've had like a week of streaming under my belt, it feels like a good time to try to start that up again. I'm not going to be doing like a no-death playthrough or anything like that. But also, and obviously she's gone to bed, but Favorian, those were her favorite streams to watch back in VODs and to catch. So we're probably going to give Dark Souls and get that back into the rotation. And because we're going to have 2 days of the week where I'm doing like a serial stream, pretty much one day of the week is going to be related to Dark Souls for the foreseeable future. Because I want to do Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, then Elden Ring. That is my plan. Just to beat them through with DLC. Not like 100%ing them or anything, but to beat them and the appropriate DLC through to the end. For Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. And then, after that, we'll look for something else. The other spot of the week I'm going to definitely leave open. We might do some alternating depending on how many games I want to play. But getting Dark Souls as one of my active games is very much there. Because I really like Dark Souls. They always do well. And, yeah, I enjoy them.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Most likely, if I'm being entirely honest, it's probably going to be Dark Souls Sunday, and then Thursday is going to be Baldur's Gate 3.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Now I'm the one reassuring the bucket. Things have gotten serious. Poor bucket. Yeah, and I don't know if our cozy game yet. I have like 50 cozy games I might want to play. Probably not more Apico, unless people really liked that one. It's probably going to be Graveyard Keeper, because I've been meaning to play through that one. And then, I don't know about what next Friday will be, but it will be something.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
That one right there is doing something. Also, and this is going to be separate from my normal streams. There's the pirate one. It's still there. But Pip, who really wants to do a stream with me, we're talking about what we're going to do.
He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
But probably on Friday, we'll probably have a bonus early stream.
But here was the proof.
With
the
Pip doing Slime Rancher.
Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power.
We did have an ad break click on, so I'm pausing. Did not give me the warnings. I did send a ticket to their help desk. We'll see if anyone gets back, but I'll pause this real quick. But yeah, I've talked about this before. I'm not the most keen on children on media and online or anything like that. My eldest daughter Pip really wants to stream. That is something that she's really passionate about. And while she is very young, I'm going to try to give her a relatively curated, safe experience of being able to be on stream with me. To the best of my ability, I'm letting her take the lead on this and trying to explain to her the risks associated with that. So she has the best to her ability to make that decision for herself. So it's very much a Pip-led thing, Pip-focused thing, and I'm just trying to facilitate that in the safest way possible for her. I'm debating about what I need to do to keep that stream safe. One of the biggest things is that there probably won't be a VOD for it. I know in the past I've kind of had her on stream a couple times, but just with what I know now, there probably won't be a VOD for it. It'll probably be a stream that just happens. And if you catch it, you catch it. And if you don't, we don't. Just kind of one of those things. I might do it on Discord. It might be a Discord only stream. I might do it on like subscribers only mode or something like that. I got to decide the best way to keep it a safe place for Pip. But I'll make the decision when it comes to it, probably next Friday. Again, kind of in discussion with my wife and Pip, and letting Pip take the lead on this. I don't believe in overly sheltering kids from the world. I believe in being there to provide the scaffolding they need to address it. So, hopefully that's what we get. And we will see at the time. And exploitive family vloggers suck. They're terrible. The worst form of parents, or one of them. Anyway, 20 seconds left on the ads. And then I will pick it back up again. And enjoy the bucket's comfort. I'm also tired, dang. It's hitting. It's hitting tonight, that's for sure. Check something real quick while I wait for the ad to finish. We all back? Maybe? Y'all gone quiet on me. Which is fair. It's fair, but...
Over another human life.
Let me resume the game.
For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Bucket, I love you. Anarchist Bucket confirmed. I felt like they were going to put the big hole here. We're really, realistically, this is a quest for the infinite hole. That is what we are doing.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Yeah, we'll do the good ending with the bucket first. Okay, I don't remember it shutting down this much.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Okay. So it's definitely affecting ending content when you have the bucket or not. Fairly significant. I didn't even pay attention if the balloons carried through.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meet. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause.
Okay.
Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
We'll get there. The only game I know that makes me spam click a door.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
417.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
437. Oh. There it is.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
10 clicks or so to door 415.
Now, back to door number 437.
Back to door 437.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
I love that they've done this.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk. Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416. We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again! Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back.
Thank you for
I'm
that
very
achievement.
proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
Let's grab the bucket.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
We're gonna go try to check out the broom closet again.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Dun, 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 dun. What? Several notices appeared across the office. We have synergized our research to the retrieval. There are many questions. There was no memo from management. Mr. Fold in the air. Who took these pictures of them? What? 416 we can do it. Red room. Figlies. Okay. There will be reward for finding them all. Mission star. Oh, instead, okay. So this is, it actually is crossing off the ones that I have. Okay, Okay, a large room, lots of boxes. Stairs, something to do with stairs. Somewhere both red and blue. Okay. With the red and blue ending, I remember if we ignore him to get to it. But stairs, something to do with stairs. There's an infinite stair place, but I can't remember how to get to it. Large room, lots of boxes. I also don't entirely know offhand. It doesn't like we can get all 6 of them, though.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet,
As you
simply
said,
because
Sam.
I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
Okay. So it sounds like they've just had the... Probably just repeats that line from now on. Lots of boxes.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I feel like if we're looking... I'm really tempted to go up and push the mind control button on, just to see what dialogue we get with the bucket. But, oh, there's red down there. Yep.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies.
How about Figlies?
What name
Figlies
better
makes me smile.
encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you
What do you
get
think,
from
Finley?
seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Do I... I actually am very curious what this ending's like
But
with the
Stanley
bucket.
just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for it. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, it froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad. ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
There is something about the heck yes. So the censor there, followed by immediately not censoring with my life kicks A. Brings me joy. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Come on,
Stanley
Bucket. We're
decided to
taking
go
over
to
the
meeting.
facility. Mind control
Warmth
style.
spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Stuck in my head. So yeah. So we have a large room with lots of boxes. I'm pretty sure that's the rejection room. So we're both red and blue. I know where that one is. So we're getting there. IFA, that's confidential.
Stanley, we must
Yeah.
move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I'd come into a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Okay. Curious if we can... Okay. I'm just gonna risk it this time for the VOD. Elevator Bossa Nova. Sounds like it's just the same thing in the elevator. That area will probably get a copyright claim during the VOD. Just a claim, not like a strike per se. It'll just probably mute the audio during that for the VOD.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Getting to the button to take over the system. Let's see what we got. I do appreciate the bucket effects, seemingly most of the endings.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control
Do the
Facility.
escape at the bucket too. Maybe next time. We're gonna go to ignore the narrator next time. This time.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Yeah, Bossa Nova's stuck in my head now.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Okay.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Sorry, Comrade Bucket.
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
What?
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Okay, verb ending is new best ending. And we did loop through all the way. That was the sequels from the beginning. I was able to get every single bird on the video there. Bird ending, new best ending. Confirmed. I'm exhausted, guys. How y'all hanging on? Oh. This might be a little bit of a shorter stream than I was intending, depending on how things pick up. Good. Yeah, we're gonna keep going till I'm a little bit tired. I mean, I'd like to go all the way till 2, as per my plan. But I'm a little tired.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the
I'm a
meeting
lot
room.
tired.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Figurine finance meeting today.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Okay. Let's make it our goal to get all the figurines.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Oh, I didn't mean to...
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
That's not what I was trying to do. I got distracted. I was just an ADHD moment. Large room, lots of boxes. This has got to be where that figurine
No,
is.
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Suddenly, narrator's not a fan of the book. Okay. There it is. Okay. Which means the last one's the red door and the blue door, which I do know how to get to.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anmarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last
Figler
one,
Anmarines.
and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anmarines. None of us can.
So there's the vent here. Oh, where's it gonna take me? Oh, okay. This is new. Old cassette tapes? What?
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there? Camporata.
I'm waiting for the jump scare. Dun, dun, dun. That ending. Okay.
My God, the bumpscosity in here is absolutely overwhelming. 1,000? You people have got to be nuts. How can you stand this much bumpscosity?
There we go. Because you gave me the option.
The
Just
good
realized
old
something.
Bucket. Just Stanley and the Bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together. Yes, whispered the Bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self. The Bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans,
Okay.
and the Bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the Bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the Bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the Bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the Bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the Bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the Bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this Bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
Love this game so much. So we killed a Bucket. We've murdered Jim. I'm really curious if
All
the
of his
Bucket's still
co-workers
there.
were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps
It
he had
is.
simply missed a memo.
We forgive you, Jim.
Where are we going today? The Bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
Okay. We're gonna do the ignore,
Stanley
ignore, ignore,
clutched
swing
the
into
bucket
the red
tightly
blue.
to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the Bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the Bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the Bucket turned out to be.
Enjoying the room for a little bit of quiet and silence. Just make
Truly, being here with the Bucket was a grand adventure.
sure.
Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the Bucket had inspired.
Are you missing a tooth, cat?
Perhaps this
they're
was
all
where
there.
the bucket
Thanks for
felt
biting
most
me.
truly at home. Here in
Ow.
the employee lounge. Perhaps
Well,
it's
stop.
the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
I'll stop petting you if you don't want.
Stanley
pet you?
decided to just give the bucket absolutely as
No?
much time as it needed to be in the
You do.
lounge.
Okay.
Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
Couldn't tell if you wanted me to pet you or if you went. Yeah, you're bitey. Ow. Okay. I'll move you off the. Oh, do you want me to get the back scratcher? Is this what you want? This? It's back scratcher. Extendable back scratcher. Its true purpose is to pet the cat from a safe distance when she's feeling feisty. Or at any distance, just because she really likes the back scratcher. It's second only to the Sharpie in terms of things my cat wants to be petted with. Yeah. Okay, we're putting it back. You can get back to your nap times now.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
I'm really tempted to do Adventureline. We'll probably come back to Adventureline, but I want to try to get all of the figurines.
No, said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
I just ignored it. Everything's gone silent.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket.
We're gonna
Simply
get
enough,
all
right?
of these wrong.
This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not
Of
an
course.
actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Apparently we're gonna get this right by doing this.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
Oh, I love this game.
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here, and I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago, I could answer these questions with confidence.
I'm a bucket, she's a bucket,
Yet now
he's a
I'm somewhat
bucket, he's
adrift.
a bucket.
Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Yes.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No.
Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
So we need to get, so we're going to go without the bucket this time, because I need to get to the red to blue area to be able to get the last figurine.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deep? But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. And there it is, the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here, and now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Yes. This is one of the other endings I wanted to show.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy. No, wait. Where are you going? Right. Where were we? Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
FYI, this part's a little intense of an ending.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley. No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room? There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
I do like this room.
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this. No. No, no, what are you doing, Stan? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? Yes, perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about. I know you'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you?
No, perhaps not.
The fact that it makes you walk slower every time.
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game?
It really
You'll
makes
throw
you
yourself
feel
from this platform
guilty.
over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. Do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me? I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I wish I still thought that was possible.
It's like really makes you feel guilty. There's not really another way to do it. I'm only walking back because I know there's more dialogue there. And the narrator goes silent like this, and you just... heavy. Interesting it doesn't let you bring the comfort bucket here.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
We're gonna do, with the bucket, I want to do 2 more endings, and I'm probably actually gonna wrap it up. But I want to do the adventure line ending, and I want to do the escape ending. Oh.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Now I remember when Stanley found the collectibles. And we're back here.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Seven of 6.
And here was a second Stanley. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini-Stan? Can you remember?
Boss's office. So I found my third.
That's exactly right. It was
Right
here,
here.
behind the boss's office. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your 3rd time doing anything. Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Interesting.
This was the 5th mini-stand, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Best boy, the narrator.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else. And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
We're gonna take a pause here. Let the ads run off. Oh, do a little stretch. Oh. I'm probably going to do another ending or 2, and then I'm calling it. It's really early for what I wanted to do, but I can feel a little bit in the back of my throat. I'm really tired. It seems like most of you are probably lurking. My viewers have stayed pretty much about stable, but I'm assuming it's just some lurkers now. Which is fine. I always appreciate lurkers. Oh. Anyway. I always knew the stream was mostly just going to be just a chance to get to play a little bit with my wife on stream, which is always nice. I know I talk about her a lot. That's because I do really like my wife. Not to make the memes or anything about that. I done went lurk on account of I'm playing video game. Oh, of course. Well, you sitting here me talking about my wife. Anyway. Gay, but all right. Talking about my wife is gay. Let's be here. Let's be real here. I'm ace, so any relationship I'm in is immediately, inherently a queer relationship. But yeah, talking about my wife, the gayest thing I can do. I will have it be known that there are multiple times a day where I will do something that is not like associated with the stereotypical male, like just doing something that I do that would be like society's definition of male, not normal. and my wife will go, I'm so glad you're gay. Just so you are aware, this is a long-running inside joke between the two of us. So, you're not entirely wrong, Wen-Fri. Anyway. Boop, ba-doop, boop. You're staring at me again. Oh. You're coming onto the camera of your own will and volition? I didn't have to adjust it or anything? You were like, there's an ad break. Now is a chance. Now I truly can be free. Okay. Ad break's over. Cat is left. We back. Oh.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Oh, it just kicks me out. I got 12 figurines now.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels. Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Oh, it does look like double speed.
Yes, I love that video. Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Yeah. The red and pink room. Rather than the stairs.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Technically, the reward so far has been more content. First time cheddar. Hello! I love your... Thank you! I'm fond of it as well. It is... I have several hats like this, but this is one I wear the most commonly when I
This was our
stream.
second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too.
There is an
The
Eevee.
past is truly a wonderful thing. Why
Thank
does
you for the
anyone ever choose
follow.
to leave it? Keep going.
Hello! So, T54 Red, do you have a preference? Do you like being called T54 or Red? Welcome to the stream. To be honest, I'm probably not going to be going for much longer tonight, but we will see. Normally I go to about 2 a.m., but I'm a little bit tired today. And I'm seeking... Yeah, Sneak View Overlay. You're seeking... So yeah, I have stream avatars. They're all Pokemon. There is a little icon. I don't know, are you on mobile or phone? But there should be a little icon somewhere. You can adjust what Pokemon you are. On mobile, I believe it's like in the top right corner on the thing. If you're on web, it's where the other links are. I'm not normally on web. Oh, I can't quite remember where it is, but there's a little like overlay icon thing. You can adjust what your avatar is. It might be like if you scroll down on web. I don't normally watch Twitch on web. I usually watch it from my phone. Which, let's be honest, the phone app's not that great, but... Someone got it, yeah! Yeah, oh, Flareon! 10 out of 10. I believe I have up through Gen 4 at the moment.
This is the very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurine. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Okay. But yeah. I think I have up to Gen 4 currently. It's just the stream avatars overlay. I don't have no Leafeon. Fire. Just go though. Yeah, I mean my personal favorite is actually Umbreon. But I'm also a big fan of Sylveon, Leafeon, Glaceon. All of the EVs are great. None of them are bad. Yeah, Umbreon. That's like my first. Umbreon is like we're talking. Got a battery going. Umbreon, like that's like when I was playing Pokemon and I saw an Umbreon, I'm like that was like my first favorite Pokemon. Especially the shiny, the color of the I forget what it's called. It's the blue and black. I'm gonna call it blue and black. I had a different color for a more specific blue, but yeah, it's a nice blue. Exactly.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more memories.
I'm just gonna go all the way through this after collecting the figurines. Yeah, they're fighting. It's a battle royale mode. Yeah, it's just the stream avatars, little overlay. They just keep us company during while I stream.
Yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
But yeah. I don't know what I was gonna say. Yeah. I have had a really good luck with this rigged. I have had oddly too good of luck with it
And before
as of late.
everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
We're getting reset.
Yes,
I have no idea where this is
I'm
going.
remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go.
And
This
Nightbot.
is the story of a man named Stanley.
Who's good self-sufficient? Absolutely. I haven't. So I'm enjoying all of the Stanley Parable too. I'm very fond of the bird ending. I just laughed so much at the bird ending. Obviously, the Bloom Cross ending's my favorite. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the game or not. But yeah, we played quite a bit of it lately. My yesterday's stream and the previous Sunday stream were Stanley Parable. I'm too familiar with the
Someone was following
game.
Stanley. He was sure of it.
Oh, we
If
got
he
this
checked
one.
over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a
Ah.
matter of time.
I remember when playing the original Stanley Parable, when I first got dialogue like that, and it just had me so paranoid for the longest time. Anyway, some of the voices memorized. Yeah.
A good bucket, a strong,
strong
bucket,
bucket.
a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
Yeah. I'm still planning. We're gonna see if we can or not. We're gonna see what happens. I was planning on doing 2 more endings tonight before calling it. We'll see. Maybe I'll do more. Maybe I won't. We're probably going to do Adventureline ending with the bucket, because I haven't done that yet. And we're going to... I want to try the escape ending with the bucket, just because I'm curious. We will see.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I think we're going to do escape ending first.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed
this
the
is back
bucket's
to
warmth
normal.
and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
I did like the figurine ending. Do we get any more dialogue at the broom closet?
Stanley, we must
No.
move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Okay. I don't know why I just went to open those doors.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly
Sorry
the
to
most
be
logical
speeding through it. I've
explanation.
played through this part a couple times on stream already. So, I'm mostly trying to get to where, like, we haven't gone through forward, and we'll go from there. The bucket knew all along. The bucket is good. We love the bucket. Praise the bucket. The bucket is in control. The bucket's little bucket sticker. I've seen every ending already. Okay. This is mostly, again, I played the original Stanley Parable Sunday. We did a couple endings then. And then, because I'd had Delux for a while, but I hadn't had a chance to play it. So, and then yesterday was my first time playing Delux. I don't know if I will be streaming this again, because I do feel like I've kind of streamed most of the content. But I do stream a variety of games. I stream a lot of Dark
Stanley and
Souls
the
and other
bucket walked
things.
straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
This seems like a game that I'll probably bring back from time to time. Like as a good little filler game, just to do some runs in for some laughs. We'll see. Yeah. Escape on that.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
door
like-
behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Like next week I'll probably do well this upcoming Sunday I'll probably stream Dark Souls is the plan. I do have a Discord where I post my schedule when it comes up. I'll throw a link for that real quick. As you were so kind for the follow. Yeah, so I'll probably do Dark Souls this upcoming Sunday. Thursday will probably be Baldur's Gate. Wait, did I misspell that? I misspelled that really badly. Can someone with fingers type that for me? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll try it again. Oh, you got it. Yeah. If you want to go join me in Discord. We had some issues with rolls earlier, but they should be fixed. But yeah, I probably do Dark Souls Sunday. Thursday will probably be Baldur's Gate 3. Wednesday is my cozy stream day. So it will be some kind of cozy game. Not quite sure sold on what. I'm kind of waiting for the next big Stardew Valley update to drop.
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
And then Fridays, like today, is normally my co-op day. So my wife joined me for a little bit as we played Cuphead, and then we did this. I switched over to this when she went to bed. Yeah, Stardew Valley is supposed to have another major one on the way. And I haven't even played much of the last one before that, so we will see. It doesn't update regularly. It's just like these couple major updates from time to time. So like, yeah, they had the update, a major update a while back that added multiplayer and everything. Thoughts on Pal World? Ooh, you're gonna get in right with the controversial one here. Not a fan, personally, and I have a couple things. I'm never going to be someone to defend a
As
major
the machine whirred
corporation,
into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise,
but
Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be.
we got
To be
him
sure,
talking
it
about
puts
this.
the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense
I'm
of
gonna pause
ease?
this real quick just to give my thoughts on Pal World consistently. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, assets copy parody, because I do love those things. I think that's great. I do not think Pal World counts as parody, and I feel like that counts as a cheap cop out. Where they're like, it's Pokemon with guns, and we've stolen art assets. And I'm not gonna sit here and like defend Pokemon Corporation. It's a major corporation, but it feels a little crappy to the artists who work at Pokemon to have such close. You could have parodied it with more original art, if that makes sense. Like, it is not hard to design things that harken onto the idea of parody for that kind of game without being that close. And also, the idea of Pokemon with guns never really appealed with me. And I'm gonna be entirely honest. I've looked at it. It's basically just an Ark Survival Evolved knockoff. Is kind of, I feel like, which I feel like is an overdone genre. So, I don't care for it. Is the answer. Like Ark with Pokemon, exactly. Which is what I think too. And like Ark has guns, and I get that. Yeah, I don't. I just there's something about when I'm playing a game that feels so much like art assets are ripped off without and pretending that they aren't. It's just a little like to me. It gives me the ick, if that makes sense. As much as I'm not gonna sit here, I don't like defending a big corporation because like Pokemon can defend itself, and I'm not a big fan of how Nintendo's handles the community in a lot of ways and how overly heavy-handed that they are. But I feel like in this one instance, the criticism is kind of got valid ground to stand on, with a lot of the designs just being too close, like almost just a color palette swap. Um, which to me it makes it not good parody, which is what I've heard a lot of people defend it as. And I'm also not personally a fan of Ark games. Some people enjoy them. Just that kind of survival game never quite clicked with me. Um I also feel like there's a lot of them, and I don't know if Pow World does anything beyond being a Pokemon ripoff that makes it noteworthy. And I'm sure people enjoy it, and I'm not here to yuck your yum. I don't think it will do well if Pokemon does take it to court, personally. I don't think that they'll have enough of a defense, but I could be wrong. Um, but yeah, it's just I don't think it's a very innovative game. And that's fine. Some games don't every game doesn't have to be innovative. But it's just not a game that I really have any desire to put effort into. I guess that's really what I'm saying. I know some people are much more vehemently against it than that. I just it's close enough it gives me the ick when it comes to art assets. There's also rumors, and I've heard these, I don't know how substantiated that they are, that the development team used AI or is using AI for another game. And I really dislike AI art because it is, in my opinion, theft. It does take from an artist without giving them proper credit. Which I've gotten into a whole rant about AI in previous senses, but yeah, I don't care to give it the time, and this is probably the extent of what I'll say for Power World. If you played it and you enjoyed it, I'm not going to judge you too terribly for playing it. Just I don't care for it, and again, if Pokemon goes after it, I don't think it's going to be around long.
When you're about to be crushed to death. This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator. as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
My bucket's gone. Oh. Okay. You're standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently emptied within a cavernous void. But through use of this exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learned here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
The bucket's gone. I'm not going to read through all of the dialogue here, but I'm just going to do a quick little look through here. Bucket with two handles. Making fun of the Da Vinci diagram I forget the name of. Needle ever so powerfully luring and drove dozens of nations to war with one. So this is actually a beautiful reference. In fact, there actually is a historical war that was fought over a bucket. More or less to, I believe they were Italian towns, kept stealing a bucket back and forth from each other in war. And it just led to people being people in the way that they do. Is the whole museum just bucket themed now? This is fantastic.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one.
Of course it was the
It is
Italians.
man who should kneel before the bucket.
Hey, I'm like a quarter Italian on my grandma's side. Mariano Venticinque didn't come over here from Sicily with his wife, or when she died, his wife's sister, who he also married, to create family drama for nothing. The hanging bucket. Well, the true story, I think I've talked about that on stream. I have an ancestor, I believe his name was Mariano Venticinque, who moved here from Sicily with his wife. First wife died, so he sent back to get the second wife. Married, to get the sister, married her. And then had a bunch of kids with both of them. Like, before his first wife had kids, had a bunch of kids with the second wife as well. And none of the kids liked each other for obvious familial conflict reasons. And stopped talking to each other. And created a whole entire family schism. They were all barbers in LA. So yeah. Random fact about Tada's ancestry there. That is also the same side of the family that I get schizophrenia from, so not too surprising. For context, T54, I do have schizophrenia. It has mentioned a couple times on streams, but yeah. Okay, so you think I have to jump for the hanging bucket? Ba-ba-ba. It's like a random thing to say. It's like, for me, it's a very, very minor thing, but it gets brought up from time to time in stream. I can't jump, can I? Okay. I don't think I actually fell. And you could just let me grab the bucket.
There is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another
Flipped it.
opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision for...
10 out of 10. Anyway. And for the last ending, which I'm definitely feeling, it's definitely going to be the last ending, we are going to do the adventure line, wherever that ending takes us through in its natural course. By the way, you can battle Nightbot or Streamlabs or anyone else like this. Oh yeah, this is an important thing, T54. If you're still lurking around.
Gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply...
The embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
You can also make the bots battle with the bot battle command. Oh, I was going to go the other way. We're going to reset. Because I was going to go the other way. Okay.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it.
Yep.
If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Grab bucket.
The
Keep
bucket
going.
made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay, dang it. We'll get it. I got distracted by the bot fight and I went through the wrong door again.
All of his co-workers
There should be a
gone.
command that
What
explains
could it
this.
mean?
I...
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a...
Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley
I'll try to
is a
get that.
very lucky
Can you
fellow.
DM?
Very lucky indeed.
Okay. I don't want to forget this. Do you have access to the Discord right now,
clutched
Moth?
the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room. but
I know I
Stanley
have the
had felt
power
the
to...
bucket calling
I don't
to
know how-
him,
yeah.
telling him that the employee lounge
Yeah,
was simply
it's-
the place to be.
Yeah, you have the power to... You can create commands with like the add command button, but it's a
And
little
here
bit
it
convoluted.
was. Had the bucket
But
turned
just
out to be
in
correct,
Discord-
was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself.
In any of
Yes,
the
perhaps
chats
it
where you can
truly
do the mod
was.
chat if you want
How
to,
insightful the bucket
do
turned
like
out to be.
exclamation mark create ticket. We're gonna try this out to see if this works. It should like give you like suggestions for the command. I think it's like exclamation mark create space
Truly,
ticket,
being here with the bucket was a great...
and then just
Never
type
mind. The bucket was gone.
bot fight
Stanley took the door on
explanation.
his left to go back to the
It'll
meeting.
create a little
And
ticket
so the
thing
two
in
of them
Discord for me to
detoured
keep
through
track
the
of it to make
maintenance
sure I
section
get it
and
done.
walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
I don't know if any of that made sense. But yeah. That way it just kind of creates like a physical thing that I'll see and remember to do it for.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
There we go.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Oh, thank you for the hydrate. I'm gonna sit in the broom closet for a little bit while I do that. Anyway. Did what I say about creating a ticket make any sense? The new bot... I'm still learning out some of the intricate details of the new bot.
Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly
We'll
music
find
as
out.
well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
I'll double check when before I go to bed tonight, just to see if it's there.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Shouldn't have left the balloon closet. Pry my bucket from my cold,
Now,
dead
listen to me.
hands.
It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Okay. Flying Crusher gets
Bucket
me.
Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential.
No,
we were
I'm
going
not
to do such
destroying the
marvelous
bucket.
things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Hi, Happy. Welcome to the stream. You're probably joining right as I was actually about to peace out, to be honest. That was kind of the last ending I was going for tonight, because I am exhausted, but it's good to see you. Oh. Nope, we gotta continue. This is new.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Game pretty good at that, man. So yeah, you did miss a little bit of Power World Discourse, primarily, and just to kind of recap.
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent.
Um,
Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
To make a long story short, I don't like to defend a major corporation in any situation, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, Pokemon Company's suffering because of Power World exists. I just am not the biggest fan of Power World because I personally feel that as a game, separate from all of that controversy, as a game, it is just another Ark Survival Evolved, and I don't think it really does anything unique to that genre, which I think is a little bit of an overplayed genre, and personally not quite my thing. It's like if people like that kind of game, maybe it's another game for them, and that's great. Personally, don't really care for that kind of game. I don't think it does anything new beyond that. And I also think that the Pokemon in it, I don't know if they call them Pokemon or not, are far too close to Pokemon, that it puts into this realm of it's not really parody. Because it's not parroting Pokemon. It's not critiquing Pokemon. It's just stealing the art from it. And while I'm not one to defend Pokemon, it's kind of lazy, in my opinion, and I just... yeah. I'm enjoying it, but I hope it gets some more story-like content over it's still early access. Yeah, to me, it just feels like this is an entire game that's premise is built off of stolen art. And I don't want to defend Pokemon in that, and I get that the art is somewhat unique. It's just not unique enough, nor is the game parodying in any meaningful way, that you put that icing on top of what I think is just another Ark survival game that's not really my cup of tea. It's not something I'm really terribly interested in. I don't know how reputable these claims are, but I have heard stories that like the dev is using AI and other things, which I really don't like when it comes to AI art, because I do strongly think that is theft, as it does take work and credit from artists. So that's kind of my whole thing, just general ick about it. If people enjoy Pal World, I'm not gonna knock them for it. It's just not something that I'll be giving any attention to on stream because of those reasons, because I just don't think it's a very great game at the moment, and I think what makes it unique is it's in of itself stolen. Pokemon is not an innocent either. There are some Pokemon that are very, very similar to Fakemon. Innocent. Oh yeah, and I'm assuming like everyone steals from everything. It's just...
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yeah, it's just kind of, for me, it's just like this, I don't really care for it. And I get the feeling a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I want to play it, I'm so excited for it. I don't get the hype. And yeah, I'm not going to judge people if you're super excited for it, just not my cup of tea. And I don't think that the business practices should be replicated everywhere. Yeah. I don't know. That's kind of what it comes to. It's just like I think if Pokemon does go ahead and sue Pal World for copyright infringement, trademark infringement, I don't think Pal World's going to have the ground to stand on. Hearsay and misrepresented. The main dev guy mentioned AI in a tweet about a BuzzFeed article that generated Pokemon clones with an AI filter.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
And this is kind of where I would like to look into it a little bit more. Personally, I don't necessarily know if he used AI for Pal World. I'm still a little bit cautious to fully throw my support behind a dev that is pro AI, because I don't trust them not to do it in the future. And that's kind of why I need to look into it itself. And that's kind of why I brought that up at the end, because I still do think as a game, the art assets for the Pokemon are just too close, and I just don't think it's a very innovative game. But yeah. Oh, what are we doing here?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Looks like it's just normal beyond this. I think I just had one an ending I had in beginning I hadn't had in a while. Because we've already really done all the endings for this one, I'm not gonna fully play it through. I'm sorry to have you jump in on the end of this heavy. This is something I wouldn't mind maybe discording about later. But yeah. And it's kind of mouthy. There's a lot of games like Pokemon, but they also have original designs. And even if the art had been here's how I'm gonna kind of wrap this up. And we can set the AI stuff aside. And I kind of said, that's why I kind of, when I first mentioned it, I don't know how reputable it is, because I've heard both ways. It's something to kind of keep in mind and to look into. I'm not bringing it up as my main point. My main point is that as a game, it's basically an Ark Survival Evolved. Not my kind of game, and that's fine. It's kind of critiquing Pokemon in that it brings to the forefront the background of Pokemon world functions, i.e. Pokemon are... But the Pokemon owed right to each other. Power just has the right there on the packaging. But this is what I was going to get to. Being dark and edgy does not make you a good critical parody. And this is what I think Power World is. As people at least made things somewhat their own. The issue I think too is I don't know much about Pokemon Fusions. I can't really say anything about Pokemon Fusions. It's whether or not you're trying to sell it as your own. Versus Pokemon Fusions is unapologetically just smashing two Pokemon together. There is no claim that it is in itself unique art, to my knowledge. If it is claiming we're making the original unique things, I would also have as much issue with that. My issue with Palmon is that and it's not an issue, and this is where I want to kind of get misrepresented. As developers, I don't think it does a lot of unique that's on its own. Yeah, as I said, they're just being edgy for the sake of edgy, and it's kind of cringe. Cringe is a good way to put it. I don't have a moral, ethical issue with Power World entirely. There's a couple things on it that kind of skirt that for me. It's just not interesting to me because I feel it's a little lazy. And I feel like if you wanted to make a parody about Pokemon, it would be more intentional. And right now, to me, it to an extent feels like it's edgy for the sake of edgy. And I don't care for that. I get that a lot in media nowadays, where if you're going to parody something, if you're going to satire is the word I'm looking for. If you're going to satirize something, you need to have clear intent and purpose, and can't just be like hand wavy. Because if you're just kind of hand wavy about it, which I feel like Power World is, it doesn't have this direct focus, it doesn't have direct criticism that can be built off of. It's just at that point kind of stealing. Not completely. And a lot of the art probably put some work into it. I have very different opinions on the topic, a lot of topics, but I'm glad we can still talk about it. Yeah, exactly. I like people who have different opinions from me. Dark for the sake of dark. Edgelord. Yeah, and that's a fair critique of Hazbin Hotel. I've heard to some things too, where it can be a little bit of just edgy for the sake of edgy. But yeah, for me, this kind of comes down to I really like satire. I love absurdist humor. I like things that make me think, and I don't think Power World does a good thing. You get the V-pop drama. The show is so good. I haven't watched it, so I won't pass judgment on the quality of the show. I know people have a little bit of opinions. A lot of opinions about it. I watched a lot of her other show, Hell of a Boss. Moth has opinions about it. And we love you for your opinions, Moth, on things. So I haven't watched it. I won't critique without watching. I watched a lot of her other show, Hell of a Boss. I watched all of it up to current. And I think it has its moments. Good and bad. I get why people enjoy it. And if that is your kind of show, if you like that edgier kind of show, I'm not going to critique you too hard for it. Beyond, like, we should be aware of the V-pop drama and, like, that stuff that's going on and hold a critical lens to that and handle that appropriately. But, like, the show itself, if it's your kind of thing, it's not really my kind of thing. I would say the music is Disney quality. I'd be taking a step back to say that it's Broadway quality. It's very much as a show. We're going to get into heavy topics because people have a lot of opinions on this. There are shows that I consider candy. I apply this to like a lot of popular media for me. If you like that, that is great. It is fantastic. That is your thing. You really enjoy it. I do not think she has done anything, again, innovative. And things don't need to be innovative. There are people who say that and mean it like a bad thing. I don't. if there is a formula that works and is enjoyable, it works as and is enjoyable. I just get annoyed when people are like, this thing is the most innovative thing whatsoever. And it's like, this is just something that other studios have been doing unrecognized for a very long time. But yeah. Of style with the that's I can kind of get where you're going with the style there. And so like it's not my cup of tea. I'm not going to judge you too much if it's the thing that you like. I don't think it's as innovative as people think it is. And I have a personal bone to pick in these fights because I feel like whenever a show like this comes around, everyone throws so much praise for it, and then other things around it that have been doing it longer don't get the credit they deserve. And I don't want to discredit something for what it's done, but I just wish, I don't know. This has come from years of when anything, I have like that gut reaction to be against anything that gets popular at all. But watching shows that I watched growing up that were like, this is a fantastic deep dive and it's beautiful artwork and it's genuinely unique and it's innovative and it explores cultures that I've never thought about, and then it loses to a Pixar and Disney movie every single time, you just get a little like, about these kind of things. Yeah. Maybe just a shallow, but yeah. And my thing is, if that is your thing, and like Moth has very strong opinions about it, which is valid, and I get that. Just I get annoyed. My biggest critique of it is that I've had so many people already tell me that this show is like the newest, most innovative thing ever. And having watched her other work, which I was told before I watched Hell of a Boss, I'm like, it just gives the vibe of I grew up not being able to cuss and finally found a movie that says the F word 100 times, and I'm going to pretend that this is the most edgy adult stuff I've ever seen. And that's fine. You can have things that are just fun and good and energetic. I just don't like it being shoved in my face as the greatest thing ever made, breaking all of these boundaries into new uncharted waters, when it's not that. And maybe it's your first time experiencing that, and that's great. It's great to have you take a step in. I want to welcome you into this world and explore other things. But yeah. I was thinking that you could. Oh, we got a lot more Pal World things. Yeah, and it does its formula. And this is the exact same way I feel about Disney and Pixar movies. They do their formula well. Marvel movies, they do their formula well. I don't like Marvel's anyway. You're good, Wee Mm. Yeah. And I will also say, like, to comment on Pal World, there is a significant number of people that hate Pal World because it's not Pokemon and they put Pokemon on a sacred pedestal. It is not that for me. I don't know. This is like we're gonna flip everywhere because I know my opinions on this aren't necessarily in the mainstream. If you enjoy it, good for you. Neither of those things are for me. I think probably the safest way I can say this on stream. It's not that they're bad. I just don't think either of them are innovative. I don't think, and if you enjoy them, you enjoy them. Things don't have to be innovative. But yeah, we're probably gonna wrap up stream here on this kind of negative note. But suck the boot of Pokemon because I have Pokemon autism, JK, but also not JK. I feel you a little bit with that, Moth. I don't know. It's just like it's the same thing that I got with Marvel movies and Deadpool. Oh, I'm gonna really pick out some heads here. I feel the same way about the Deadpool movies. Ryan Reynolds Deadpool movies. I get if you like them, but edgy man who cusses and says inappropriate jokes dramatically and vaguely critiques superheroes was not a new concept with the Deadpool movies. And if that's your introduction to it, great. I love it. But just watching people do the same discourse and come up with these like brilliant new ideas, and it's like, but someone's already done that comic or that book or that movie. Like they exist. Anyway, best thing I learned from deconstruction from Christianity is that I can enjoy and appreciate something while still being critical. Exactly. And I always have the hardest time because it's like, I'm going to critique something if I love it more than if I don't even. But because I'm a very critical person of things, people are like, you hate everything. I don't hate everything. Lord of the Rings, for example. Where's Sting? Boop. There's somewhere over there. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I got Sting on my wall. I could say so many critical things about that series, about the pacing, about the books, about the movies, all of it. And when Rings of Power dropped on Amazon, for example, I love the diversity for Rings of Power. The casting choices, I think, were great. I loved seeing people of color as elves and dwarves. The movie is kind of boring. I'm sorry. It's not, the writing's not bad. I want to wholeheartedly throw my support into my beloved franchise being diversified, but the show just doesn't catch me. And that's a personal thing, but it's a thing that I can't get past. And I'm glad that they exist, and I hope that we get more of that in the future, but just it, yeah. Anyway, I love the idea of Pokemon, but I just can't finish the games. I love picking up loving monster and picking a team, and it's great. The story world is just so shallow to me and hard to buy into. I know a lot of people who feel that way about Pokemon, and I'm going to be entirely honest. I've played the games, and I enjoy the games a little bit. I'm not a big fan of the team squad strategy JRPG style of strategy. I can enjoy a Pokemon game. Um, what I do love is the world and lore of Pokemon, and puts me into this weird spot of I'm actually kind of a big Pokemon anime fan. Like, I love the originals, but I actually really enjoyed watching Sun and Moon with my kids. And maybe that was just because um I was watching it with my kids. But like the thing is, and this is kind of like the opposite I feel like of a show like Has Been Hotel, where I knew a lot of people that hated Pokemon Sun and Moon, which allowed me to enjoy it because I didn't feel like I had to be the one constantly being like, let's be aware of the flaws here, because everyone was saying them, so I could just kind of watch it for what it was, which was fluffy candy. Surprisingly, but the story is just mediocre at this point. Which is why I think I like the Pokemon animes more. The storyline of those is always a little bit more fascinating than the games. I enjoy collecting games. If there was a Pokemon game where I just went to gather all of my little friends and it was like Nintendogs but Pokemon, with like out the battling, I would probably enjoy it a lot more. Like Stardew Valley Pokemon, probably would enjoy it a lot more. Which sounds hilarious because I got my start as a whole Dark Souls streamer. But I just, eh. The anime is great. Might just be nostalgia, but I love the Pokemon games. Ah, yeah. I've watched the newer ones too. They're pretty solid sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, they're not like, again, they're not the greatest show ever, but they don't overplay anything. I enjoy them. I watch them and I feel good. I can watch them with my kids. We can go, oh, that's that Pokemon. That's kind of cool. Or, oh, we get to see this little arc. And they have like these little arcs in it that are just good. Is it the greatest show ever? No. Is it enjoyable? Yes. I think the biggest problem too, because it's like I'm firmly in the team of if you ask the question, like what's your favorite show versus what's the best show that you've seen. This is like a great example. I'll probably wrap up here because I am exhausted. I'm in the burnout phase where I haven't games and shows I want to watch. The energy, but it takes start and finish isn't there. Burnout. Yeah. My favorite movie of all time. My favorite, not the best movie ever made, but my favorite movie is the 1977 Hobbit cartoon, the animated movie. I love everything about that movie. The music, the old style animation, the fact that it's The Hobbit, which is one of my favorite books, condensed into a movie. There are so many things wrong with it. I could sit here and pick out the limitations of it, but I love it for what it is. So much it is my favorite movie. But yet, if you were to ask me what the best movie I ever saw would be, it's going to probably have to be a question like The Breadwinner or Grave of the Fireflies, which are very intense, very heavy movies. They aren't something that I would recommend to everyone, but they are movies that I think tell a story and teach a moral lesson in a very significant way. Anyway. What is what was the point of the villain? Why they were leeches? My friends getting the ride along my victory parade. Yeah, that's fair. I have beaten Pokemon Diamond, which is the first one I've beaten. I then went back and beat Pokemon Red. I've beaten Pokemon White, and I've beaten Pokemon Moon. And I've also beaten Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, but that's separate. That was basically just Pokemon Yellow with a reskin. But yeah. By the way, because I did just recommend them, if you're going to watch Breadwinner and you're going to watch Grave of the Fireflies, if you haven't watched them, either of them away, like, look up content warnings. Those are some heavy movies. Grave of the Fireflies, I think especially, but Breadwinner too has heavy tone points. They are cartoons. Both of those are cartoons. I like me cartoons. They're heavy cartoons. But yeah, that's my opining on them. And I'm probably gonna wrap up here. I'm not gonna do a raid tonight because I'm exhausted and I don't feel like. Well, let me see. Maybe there's someone worth raiding. But this was a little bit of a weird stream. In terms of just, I mean, it started out with streaming with my wife and switched over to this. And like, yeah, and thank you. Like, I know Heavy, we didn't agree on everything. You would need a Switch for those two in particular. I hope I didn't say anything that was like too controversial or offensive. I didn't mean to didn't want you to feel like I was bashing on you for liking those games if you do. Or in that movie and the show and everything. I was just trying to explain why I don't like them. Okay. Well, thank you for listening to my criticisms then. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. I don't need to apologize to Weefei because Weifei's used to me. We used to sit in a car in junior high for like 4 hours talking crap about everything and anything. Super hard to defend unless you have straight up attack me for an opinion without merit. Yeah. And like, I'll always try to if I'm going to have an opinion, I'll try to defend it and try to be open towards others. Yeah, I don't got anyone with a similar viewership number to me to where it would be close enough for me to raid. So I'm not gonna raid anyone tonight. I don't feel like looking up someone I'm not familiar with. So we're not gonna do a raid tonight. It's a little bit more of a laid back stream. And now we're never talking to you again. We'll be talking by the morrow. And apparently we got an ad break right now. And actually, Weefei, don't know if you're gonna hear this because you might be stuck on ads now. Because perfect timing. But I will say this, Weefei. We probably won't be talking tomorrow because I'll probably forget. And we'll remember to speak to each other either when I next stream and you join, or in 3 weeks and I'm like, hey, we need a game, and then I'll forget to actually follow up with that. You'll delete anyone who disagrees. Bye, Weefei. Okay, time to /ban Weefei. Gone. Weefei, goodbye. No. Just because I think something is a garbage game with stolen art doesn't mean you won't enjoy it. And that's fine. We can have different opinions. For ban you can't ban me in my own stream. Haha. What you gonna do about that now? Would you roll 60? Out of all of the numbers, we gotta end there. It has spoken. It has spoken, and it has told us that it is time to end. Because Hebby rolled a 69, and none of us are going to be able to beat that. I must throw in some hypes. Where is my hypes? There's my hype. the hypes for the 69. And then with that, we shall end the stream. Thank you all for joining in at the moment and having a little conversation. Yeah. Well, normally I try to stream for like another hour. I'm just tired today. Get you on the flip-flop, Wi-Fi. DM me. We need a game together. I actually do want a game with you. You need to like fully finish introducing me to the world of Viking pixel game I can't remember the name of. And Baldur's Gate 3. We need to run around naked together. Anyway, good night, y'all. We're gonna go before I like start singing up random songs or something like that. Bye.